Thank you, thank you. See, it will be a short presentation about some work I'm trying to do on a very big subject, private and public ports in the Gulf of Naples. It is not important, I think, to underline the importance of the Gulf of Naples in antiquity. You know that it's a place not so far from Rome. Rome is 200 kilometers away, and it is a gulf very well protected, with a gulf inside a gulf inside a gulf. So there is all the possibility for to build port facilities since a very initial moment in the history. We know that in the Gulf of Naples, a lot of different duties or commercial or harbor activities were distributed. We know that it was the basis for the naval fleet of the Western Mediterranean in Misenum, and we know that Puteoli was the commercial hub of the Roman world. The big commercial hub of the Roman world since the end of the Republican Age, and during practically all the Roman Imperial Age, even with the creation of the harbors in Ostia, with the Claudius Harbor, and after the Claudius Harbor, the Trajan Harbor in Ostia, Puteoli still maintained a good continuity, and we know this thanks to the analysis of the epigraphic documentation, thanks to the analysis of the marble, of the abundance of marble and materials coming to Puteoli in the 2nd century AD, in the 3rd century AD, when Ostia has a significant primary role in the Roman maritime trade network. Puteoli is the Portus Anunarius, Puteoli is the terminal where all the food coming to a megalopolis of the antiquity is coming, but this is also a redistribution hub for ships coming to Puteoli and sailing away to other destinations. There is a very famous quotation by Flavius Philostratus talking about ships departing from Puteoli, not the ships coming from Alexandria in Egypt like in Seneca's letters, but departing from Puteoli to reach Sardinia, to reach the sea beyond Sardinia or Phoenicia or Cyprus in Egypt. And we have an idea of the importance of these structures thanks to a very big iconographic and documentary and literary sources. The glass flask that you see here is the last one discovered, but it's a series. There is a series of more than 10 glass flasks depicting the harbor of Puteoli as it was seen from the sea. This one is the glass flask found in Merida, in Augusta-Menta, in Spain, and published in 2010, I think. By the way, the submerged structures with a capital importance for this, and with a big presence thanks to the Bradisism of the Phlegrean region that caused the subversion of the entire coastal strip of this part of Campania, the submerged structures were registered thanks to aerial photographs and thanks to some survey at the end of the 80s and at the beginning of the 90s of last century. But our knowledge about the real consistence of every wall of this structure is still very lacking. The Portus Julius is now even more well known because of the aerial photographs, of the possibilities offered by drone, but even by drone photography. But we still have to interpret a big part of the structures. We still have to reflect about all the superposition in the structure. This is not a Pompeii sealed by an eruption. This is a commercial harbor opened in the 37 before Christ, and then it is a military harbor opened in 37 before Christ, transformed in a commercial harbor that had a continuous life during centuries. And we recognize this thanks to the aerial photographs, because the walls are crossing themselves and we have superpositions of newer buildings on the older ones. But we need the publication of everything. We need the publication of the Ripa Puteolana, the long coastal strip connecting the big symbol of Puteoli Harbor, the so-called Caligolian pier that was related to Nero, probably, and the Portus Julius. So the idea was to start new underwater archaeology researches. As you know, as you will see also today in the afternoon, I'm part of the big project Musas, directed by Barbara Davide, for new studies in the Baia region. But all the Phlegrean territory gives us the opportunity to study more and more considering that we are now very lucky, because we can now count in Baia, in the Phlegrean fields, on a very big marine protected area of 177.9 hectares. Very big one. But this is just a little part of the huge coastal strip of the Phlegrean fields, starting from the city of Napoli and arriving to Misenum and Torre Gareta. Kilometers of a coastline underwater that we need to understand. And we have to do this as archaeologists. It's our duty to register all of this, because we have to improve the knowledge to enhance the protection. It is not only an idea of archaeologists. That was the master plan for the creation of the new waterfront of Pozzuoli, presented in public projects some years ago. And as you can see, the submerged structures were registered until the line of the modern pier, you can see it's crossing the sea, that is connected with a modern factory. But if we superpose the planimetry that we have since the 90s, the structure continues. We have more and more. And we need to protect this, because other plans, other projects, other new waterfronts will arrive. And we have to we need to be prepared in order to face these challenges. So I started to make new diving in a not so attractive part of the Gulf of Puteoli. I mean the part in front of the factories, of the industries of Pozzuoli, of modern Pozzuoli, where at the beginning of the 20th centuries, Pozzuoli decided to start a new future with industries. They had underwater the biggest harbor of Roman antiquity, but they decided to make, because it was the idea of the time, to build factories and industries very polluting and very big. And under the pier, that is still in use, because it was the pier of a big factory, then after a while converted into a factory of pipes, modern pipes. Under these piers, we have all the continuity of the ancient harbor, with the concrete modern pier directly crossing the ancient structures, making holes in the ancient structures. We can document this, and we can focus our attention on the presence of these big walls that you can see in comparison with the diver. It's a friend that is big. It gives you the scale. These big walls were the waterfront, the waterfront of the ancient Riva Puteolana. It was the part of the harbor of Puteoli where there was no pier, like the Caligulaean Neronian pier in concrete, but there was all the continuity of wooden piers used for the mooring of ships. We know this because we have the holes of the wooden structures, and we know this because we have the horea, we have the docks in the rear part of this waterfront. I started to play with a drone, with an aerial drone, also in the center of modern Pozzuoli. Probably you know that the center of modern Pozzuoli coincides, is superposed on the Acropolis of ancient Puteoli, that was the Acropolis of the Archaea, of the ancient colony, of the ancient Greek colony. The fact is that underwater we have 73 big concrete piers related to the Roman time. Never studied actually, but documented in the first planimetry. These are not piers, these are not mooring piers, these are pile, so it is the basic element the Romans used to build a pier, but in this case they were placed all around the Acropolis to offer a protection to the Acropolis of the city from the winds coming from south and southeast. That are the dangerous winds in the Gulf of Naples. The unique winds crossing the opening of the Gulf of Naples from Capri to East. That was a covering, a breakwater system, probably built during the Augustan Age. We have the opus reticulatum surface underwater, so we know that it was made in a cofferdam, in a dry cofferdam underwater, and we have all the series of these piers. These structures are very important also because they can give us very important markers to study the relative sea level change in a place, the middle of the Freudian fields, where we have very important variations. This is not generally the Mediterranean. This is the core of a caldera system where we are now noticing that we have variations, big variations, in territories that are very, very nearby. The situation in Maya is not the same situation that we have in Puteoli. The situation in Puteoli is different from the situation of Neapolitan coast. So we made some studies of this. We continue to make studies also on the pile, in this case too, out of the protected area, on the hill, around the hill of the castle of Baia. You know that under the castle of Baia there is a big villa maritima that probably can be the villa of Julius Caesar if the interpretation is correct. Under the villa there is a system that was incredibly interpreted in some article as a theater, but it is a fish pond, a half-circular fish pond that is protected by piers. And these piers gives us other markers very important to study this part. Another system of piers is very easily visible in Nisida. Nisida is a small islet at the limit between the Neapolitan area and the Puteolan area of the Gulf of Naples. We have pile underwater. We have a big one. We have a square pila with a 15 meters side. It is probably the biggest one in the Gulf of Naples. This is not just the head of the little pier. This is probably the basis for a maritime construction that can be a little lighthouse, that can be a little remarkable unit, visible unit for navigation, or also something different. It depends on our interpretation of what it was on the islet. Actually, we know that on the Nisida island there was another villa maritima. We don't have a lot of Roman structures on the island because the island was used as a reserve since the Borbonic time as a prison. And it is still a prison. It is a young jail, a jail for young criminals. And under the jail we have some opus reticulatum walls that can be connected with a maritime villa. We know from the letters of Cicero that Cicero and Brutus, the killer of Caesar, had a meeting in this villa. So we have a long tradition of study that says that the Nisida island was the villa of Brutus. Actually, the villa was not belonging to Brutus. In another work by Cicero, in the Philippiche, Cicero is very clear about this, and it says that the villa where he met Brutus was the villa of Lucullus the Young. Lucullus the Young was the son of Lucullus the General. So the Nisida island was the Lucullianum, was the big Neapolitan villa of Lucullus, and it is very important for us also because we have a big tradition of study in Naples, placing the Lucullus villa in the Megaris islet under the Castel del Lobo in the middle of the city of Naples. We know that Lucullus had at least 2 villas in the Gulf of Napoli, probably one in Nisida and one in Misenum. It was the villa of Lucullus. It was a villa very well known for everybody. It is a villa very well known in ancient sources, with the famous fish ponds and famous structures. We have some ancient images depicting the pile, and we made new studies thanks to a collaboration I started with the University of Naples Partenope, where there is a unit of marine geophysics that is now testing new underwater autonomous vehicles for recording submerged structures with the help of a side-scan sonar embedded and a multi-beam echo sound, and also some instrument for serial photography underwater. With these instruments we had the possibility to document this pile, to document the limit in this pile the limit between the part that was originally submerged and the part that originally was placed in a subaerial environment. It is very easy to recognize these differences because the concrete is very different. The concrete the Roman used underwater, using the Vitruvius recyc that we very well know with lapis puteolanus, with pozzolana, is very strong and very easy to recognize. While on the other side, the subaerial concrete is more fragile because it was placed in a subaerial environment. It had no possibility to start the pozzolanic reaction underwater. For this reason, underwater, this subaerial part, this originally subaerial part, is very, very eroded and very easily recognizable. It is a very important marker for us. On the other part of the island, there was the fish pond that probably, it is not my interpretation, it is the interpretation of my Médecin Jolivet in 1987, that was probably the part of the fish pond in Porto Pavone, in the center of the crater of the volcano of Nisida. It is a good point to start a reflection about the difference of private and public ports in the Gulf of Napoli. There was a very famous article by Alfredo Gianfrotta in the 90s dedicated to the presence of harbors in the Gulf of Naples, and Gianfrotta argued that the center was obviously the big harbor of Puteoli, but exactly like in the modern times with the NATO, with the OTAN structures and with the big military structures, a big harbor like this had an effect making practically all public around it. So he argued that perhaps also the harbor, the pile in Nisida, the numerous pile in Nisida were connected to a public harbor, a harbor used in the system of public harbors of the Phrygian fields. I disagree with this thesis because I think that we can make a big difference in the Gulf. And we can state that, as you can see, there is a specialized part dedicated to commercial purposes. And this is the harbor of Puteoli. You can see in yellow. There is a military part, the red one, and it's the Portus Julius. The other part, in green, is also residential and leisure part. We have lot of private piers. We have lot of pile, of moorings, of waterfronts, but all of these are connected with private villas. Some of these villas, at the end of the Republican time, with the beginning of the Imperial Age, start to be part of the imperial property. The villa of the Pisones in Baia, probably the same villa of Lucullus in Nisida, the villa of Pausilicon. It is public in this sense. It is an imperial property, but it has never been a public mooring. With the closing of Portus Julius as military harbor, all the coastal strip, included between Punta Epitafio, the limit of Baia, and Puteoli, is a commercial, specialized harbor. That's no wonder. It is the protected part of the Gulf of Pozzuoli. And the military activities, they were displaced in a different site, that is the harbor of Misenum. It's a fantastic harbor for military purposes, because it is the harbor using a bay and a lake, exactly like in the model of Portus Julius and Lake Lucrino and Lake Avernus, but with few problems of accumulation of sand. Actually, our knowledge of the ancient military port of Misenum is a little bit compromised because during the Second World War, the harbor of Misenum was used as a basis for the submarines, and the bottom, the sea bottom was stretched. That's why our underwater findings from Misenum Bay are all coming from a part of the bay that was on the side of the dredge part. There's a big absent in this part, in this debate. Our absent are the shipwrecks. And I am arriving to the conclusion. Where are the shipwrecks in the Gulf of Naples? There is a stunning lack of shipwrecks underwater carrying cargoes in the Gulf of Naples, and this cannot be connected only to the factor of being a safe bay. A safe bay is never safe. And also in modern time, the harbor of Naples, the Gulf of Naples, can sometimes have some sinking problem of some breakage moment. When the Libeccio and Scirocco are coming, it can be some breakage. We have modern shipwrecks from the Bay of Naples related to the Borbonic time. One of these is on my tie, it's the Fregata Partenove, and it was a series of ships that were burnt at the end of the first Borbonic period. But this is not our point of interest in this moment. We have a big news, now it's not so new, the discovery of shipwrecks in the Piazza Municipio in the center of Naples in a ground environment. The part of the harbor of Naples that was covered by sediment and it is now part of the city gave us the opportunity to find 3, 4, 5, now 7 shipwrecks. Abandoned in the harbor, left, but shipwrecks. So why they are absent otherwise? We know that shipwrecks are always related to the volume of naval traffic. If we consider the graphics and the stats by Parker in 1992 and the reconsideration of stats by Parker made by Wilson in 2011, we know that when the naval traffic has a peak, we have a peak of the breakages of the shipwrecks. There are a lot of variations on these, there are a lot of variables. There is the problem of the amphoras, of the materials, of the visibility of some material underwater and of the complete loss of other materials. But we still have a problem. In the Gulf of Naples, we don't have shipwrecks. Actually, there is we have some deep shipwreck, for example, you can see in the little picture, in the island of Capri. When in recent times they made some deep survey, when I say deep, I'm talking about 100 meters deep, they found shipwreck perfectly preserved. Actually, the problem is probably related with the activity of plumbers. It is sad to say, but it's something that we can notice. There is one shipwreck that was considered completely lost. It was a shipwreck found in 1969, and the articles, as you can see, one article made by my father that was journalist in this time. And it was discovered by a guitar player that was also a diver. The shipwreck was found in the Bay of Bacoli at a depth of 30 meters. 30 meters is not a little depth in the 60s. It was completely plundered. It was completely sacked by sport divers. I found some images of the shipwreck in the beginning of 70s, thanks to a friend that had a very nice archive, Claudio Limpa. I found new pictures of the same shipwreck made at the beginning of our millennium, when the Archaeology project was devoted to the survey of Campania and southern Italy projects, with the same amphoras, important amphoras, Dressel 2, 4 wine amphoras produced in Campania, but very few examples in comparison with the situation of the 60s. And then I decided to find again this shipwreck to see the situation now. I went there in 2015 thanks to some technical divers. I gave them some more or less precise coordinates and they found it. And we went together on the site, and the situation was completely stunning for the level of the damage. Actually, on the sea bottom, in the middle of everything, car tires, marine engines, plastic, there was only the discharged part of the sack. The plunders take the entire amphoras. When the entire amphoras finish, they start to take the amphora neck, that are very nice on your table. When they're The amphora make finish, they start to take the handles that are very nice to take your ship on the table. And at the end you just find this. You just find the pieces of the belly of the amphoras, you just find the worst part of the amphoras that no one wants to keep in their houses, in their restaurant tanks for the lobsters. Actually, in the middle of all these materials, I found one amphora handle that was very interesting because it had a stamp. So it was possible to connect this amphora stamp with the materials that were published in the 90s in a series of books of the University della Tuscia by Edoardo Scognamiglio. Some amphoras that, if you see the pictures, were amphoras in private houses coming from that shipwreck. And to see that shipwreck was very important because it was a shipwreck, it was a ship carrying wine amphoras from Campania. So it was not a ship arriving to Puteoli, it was a ship departing from there, like in Flavius Philosophus' quotation. It was a ship carrying local products, amphoras probably from the Vesuvian region, and pottery probably from Cume, from the Phlegrean fields, and it was departing, probably to go northwards or southwards, probably northwards, to send this pottery. We try to reconstruct the route of this ship, and we try to with a friend that is an amphorologist, it is Stefanile from the Superintendency of Naples, and we arrived to the conclusion that the sailor was probably not so skilled, or the storm was very stormy, but the ship actually sunk at the departure after some minutes. There's no wonder of this, because some ships, you know, are very old ships that still continue to sail until the sinking. It is a possibility in the ancient time. But it is important, and this is the conclusion, for us to understand that one of our archaeological problems, the absence of archaeological remains related to shipwrecks in the Gulf of Naples, it probably is not a real archaeological absence. It's just the effect of a very modern plundering activities. It means that maybe if we start to make some more deep survey in the deepest part of the Gulf, we will have possibly the opportunity to find some more elements related to our interest. And that's the end of my speech.
Thank you, Michele, for this very interesting intervention and for the new ideas to study the wreck and the harbors along the coast of Puteoli and Baie. And I made a little changement in the program. We moved the